What's up, Coalcracker Nation? Hey, everybody out there, I know if you're like me and you like this channel, you probably like the traditional skills. And with traditional skills comes heavy tarps, canvas, wool, metal, all that rough and tough stuff. But did you ever take a step back and look at camp when you have it all set up and it's just so nice? You have your candle lantern going, campfire going, and then you have some kind of bright colored paracord holding up your tarp. Ugh. Okay, so listen, I use paracord all the time for my ridge lines, but sometimes when I'm going out, if I'm just going out to enjoy myself, even if it's for an afternoon and I'm gonna set a shelter up or something like that, using natural cordage or natural rope is game changer. Not from a technical standpoint, because the new modern materials we have out are just way more superior than this stuff, but it does set the mood at camp and brings you back to that traditional way of the woodsman. But with natural materials, you can't do the same things we do with modern materials. So if we use hitches or tensioning knots, this stuff doesn't always work, and there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, because it's made of natural fibers, and the fibers themselves are much like Velcro. They bind to themselves, they bind to tree bark, so it doesn't slide on itself. It's not very slippery. And due to that, whenever we put any kind of tensioning knot into this, or any knot in general, it's like putting two pieces of sandpaper together and rubbing them. It just tears your lines apart. And if you buy good line, sometimes it's very, very expensive. So we want to try to preserve that as much as possible. The other thing too, even if you put a tensioning knot in and it seems okay, rain and snow makes that line do some crazy stuff. And there's been times in the past that I personally had to cut my line because it's been that bound up. And that's what got me prompted to figure out a different way. So what I'm gonna do today is show you the way I rig up my ridge line if I'm using traditional rope with my shelter setup. Okay, so when we're going to tighten down this natural rope, okay, what I like to do is go around the tree, and then normally we put that trucker's hitch right in place here. The problem is natural fiber on natural fiber is a nightmare. It normally doesn't slide too well. It burns more than anything. It binds on itself really bad. So it's just, that's not a viable option. So we have to use some alternatives. So once we get around that tree, I'm gonna bring all that line over the other line. So this line, remember, is already tight, okay? As tight as I can physically get it. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring all the line over and we're gonna bring it back on itself. Now, you are going to get some friction, rope on rope here, but it's very minimal. So that is gonna be an okay thing. What we're doing more than even rope on rope friction here is we are basically just pulling this line back to the center of the tree. That's adding even more tension to our line without creating any kind of problem between the friction. Now we're gonna take that end and we're gonna go back around the tree. I like to keep it very neatly dressed if possible. And then I'm gonna do the same thing this way. I'm gonna bring the rope over and around that original ridge line. And then I'm gonna give that another little tug, and that's gonna make it even tighter. And then I'm going to finish this off by simply bringing this line around 1 or 2 times, because we have all this remaining rope that we're not going to use. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bite in the line itself. I'm going to tuck it up inside and then just give it a little snug, okay? So all I'm doing is now allowing the natural fibers to work for us. Remember, these natural fibers like to bind on themselves, so simply just throwing this little hitch into a line that's wrapped around a tree, the fibers are going to bind on itself and it's not going to go anywhere. You could put a ton of tension on here, and because of these wraps, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's going to keep this nice and secure. And that's the way I like to tie off my natural rope ridge lines. It seems to work really, really well for me. And even in bad conditions like rain or snow, all you got to do is just pull that line down where we put that bite in it and folded it under itself, and the whole system comes down and apart. It's so easy and it's very effective. I've never had any problems with it. And there you go, another tool for the toolbox. So definitely, if you are using natural lines, give this one a shot. I think you're absolutely going to love it. And as always, check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for all our classes and our merchandise. And until next video, stay in the woods.